AEC industry has gone through rapid changes and innovations to face ever-evolving new challenges. Digital transformation in the AEC industry necessitates the use of 3D visualization to handle more complex construction projects. The lack of digital solutions will lead to costly and time-consuming errors related to quantity takeoff, drawing interpretation, and design coordination. These lead to poor project accuracy, low productivity, and delays, which result in cost overruns and compromise in building quality. But all of this can easily be avoided. Introducing Gloden Cubicost 5D BIM Digital Cost Management Solution. It brings the power of advanced tools, 3D capabilities, cost management, and other digital solutions to developers, contractors, subcontractors, and consultants. Cubicost TME 5D BIM Quantity Takeoff for mechanical and electrical. Current industry practices pose a huge challenge for experts looking to generate accurate MEP quantity reports, which could cause negative impact on project efficiency. But this issue doesn't have to be the norm. With TME, users can digitally calculate MEP quantities with comprehensive features. Equipped with incredible visualization tools, precise identification methods, and built-in standard calculation rules, TME is more than able to elevate your work experience and efficiency. Gloden Cubicost advanced digital solutions have tremendously helped AEC firms to accelerate their efforts towards the digital transformation to achieve maximum efficiency and accuracy. Gloden Cubicost 5D BIM Digital Cost Management Solution has been a cornerstone of the construction industry and provides complete support to users throughout the project lifecycle. Organizations from around the world choose us as their partner to make their cost management and team collaborations smoother than ever. Simply by using directors and consultants. Cubicost TME 5D BIM Quantity Takeoff for mechanical and electrical. Current industry practices pose a huge challenge for experts looking to generate accurate MEP quantity reports, which could cause negative impact on project efficiency. But this issue doesn't have to be the norm. With TME, users can digitally calculate MEP quantities with comprehensive features. Equipped with incredible visualization tools, precise identification methods, and built-in standard calculation rules, TME is more than able to elevate your work experience and efficiency. Gloden Cubicost advanced digital solutions have tremendously helped AEC firms to accelerate their efforts towards the digital transformation to achieve maximum efficiency and accuracy. Gloden Cubicost 5D BIM Digital Cost Management Solution has been a cornerstone of the construction industry and provides complete support to users throughout the project lifecycle. Organizations from around the world choose us as their partner to make their cost management and team collaborations smoother than ever. Simply by using Gloden Cubicost 5D BIM Digital Cost Management Solution. Gloden Cubicost, the #1 trusted 5D BIM digital cost estimation solution in Asia. Connect with us today.
All right. Okay, so for today's meeting, we'll just be going through the following content just to make sure that everyone knows what's the meeting is going to be about. So, #1, we will have the introduction to 5D BIM from Gloden. Then afterwards, we will proceed to a discipline overview of our 5D BIM software for MEP, which is known as TMEC. And following that, we will present some scenarios that most MEP quantity surveyor may face and how the software itself can help in each of these scenarios. And lastly, we will have a look at some of the client projects model that is drawn in TMEC. So before we go into the content itself, just want to make sure everyone is okay with it, because just now probably some new participants just joined in. So never mind, we still haven't actually started. So we're just going to formally start now, all right? Okay. So in the first part, we have introduction with 5D BIM from Gloden. So to formally introduce this to you, Gloden Cubicost is a 5D BIM digital cost management solution like what we have shown you in the video earlier. Since it is related to cost management to the project, the main users for this would be the QS, quantity surveyor, cost manager, estimator, and whether you are from consultant, contractor, or even developers, this would be relevant to you. So in Cubicost, it consists of 4 independent software that is unique in its own function. So starting from the left, we have our Cubicost TASC. This is the beam-based quantity takeoff for our architecture and structural works. So your concrete, your formwork, your finishes will be taken off in this software. Then we have the Cubicost TME. This will be the beam-based software for the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing works. And following that, there's Cubicost TRBC. So this is the taking off for reinforcement bar. And lastly, we have our Cubicost TBQC, which is a beam-based bill quantities and costing. So this is software where we will do the preparation of bills of quantities, and usually is done by the consultants or maybe the contractors. So before I jump in details about today's main character, which is TMEC, let me just allow me to explain the logic of our Cubicost software, okay? So the logic of BIM is the ability to interoperate between process and information. So if you're not familiar with that, that's what BIM essentially is. So based on this flow diagram, I'll just give you an example how these software works together. So imagine if you have completed your concrete and formwork for a model in TAS. So these completed models is an information. So this information can be then opened in TRB, which is our taking off for reinforcement bar. Since the concrete and formwork and the models are generated, so when I'm in TRB, I will just need to calculate the reinforcement bar only. As for TME, we can also do the modeling and taking off inside the software. And after we have completed all of the necessary taking off from our TAS, TRB, and TME, it can be combined into one single model, consists of the quantities for architectural, structural, and reinforcement bar. So lastly, these quantities can be linked into our TBQ to do our bills of quantities and do our costing, therefore forming a full cycle. And that's pretty much what a 5D BIM software, a BIM-based software is capable in doing. So understand that most of our participants and friends from here are from the doing the MEP QS. So previously in the in the Zoom registration link, I believe that I've asked a question on what are the current taking off methods that you are currently adopting. So based on the data that we receive, actually we can kind of sums up that the traditional method and the 2D method taking off is still taking precedent, whereas a small amount of percentage, coming up to 12%, is using the 5D BIM Cubicost. Some of it is actually some of our existing users has been using TME for quite some time. Now understand that due to the drawings informations for MEP projects is not as sufficient as compared to the building works. So therefore, there isn't really any software out there that can actually help MEP QS to achieve that. Therefore, we have this discrepancy or difference in these data that we receive. So I'm just going to illustrate on each of these methods much clearer, okay? So let's look at this comparison tab between the traditional method, 2D based software, as well as 5D BIM Cubicost. So in traditional method, which some of you may still be adopting, you will need to print out the drawing and then proceed to read the drawing. Then afterwards, use a scale ruler to measure the length, which only then tabulate into Excel or maybe your own software or maybe your own methods of taking off. Then you have to create the formula to calculate the quantities in order to generate the report from Excel, right? So a better version of traditional would be 2D. I believe some of you may be using the Cossack, maybe Candy, or even plain Swift. So these software are all considered the 2D taking off software. In 2D software, we will need to import the drawing, right? Import the drawing and measure the length in the software or maybe the area. But in certain case, you will still need to create the formula and deductions in Excel to get the quantities. And because it's a 2D software, it is not able to generate a 3D model out, which can help in visualization. So a much better version, which is our 5D BIM Cubicost software. So when using 5D BIM software, the process will be much seamless and efficient. So after you have imported the drawing, there is a function that is called an auto-identify that can generate the models within seconds, including the quantities. So the quantities will be calculated based on the margin rule in the software. So everything will be much faster and much accurate. So later on, this will be illustrated. But this comparison tab is to illustrate on where 5D BIM stands when compared to other takeoff methods. So by now, I hope you have a better idea of what Cubicost is and what a BIM-based software is in terms of the working methods and the benefits. So up till now, I just want to have a quick chat with all of you. Are you guys understanding this? Is it all right for you guys in terms of information? Is it too much, or maybe do you need me to slow down? All good, right? All clear? Okay, I'm getting all clear from our side. Fine. All good. Okay, I'll proceed now then. Okay, then I'll proceed to the next chapter. Okay. All right. So in this next part, we will jump into our 5D BIM software for MEP, also known as TMEC, which we have shown you earlier in the video, right? Okay. So what is TMEC? As mentioned before, TMEC is a quantity taking out software for MEP works. So with the comparison tab that I've shown you earlier, what's good about TMEC? It is a 5D BIM solution software, which means it is able to generate the quantities rapidly. It will also help to cross-check the quantities much more efficiently by identifying the models that you drawn in the drawing. And in overall, it is designed to mainly enhance your quantity taking off experience. So in TMEC, we have few traits or services that are available when it comes to the taking off, which are the ACMB, which is known as air conditioning and mechanical ventilation. We also have electrical works, and also plumbing and sanitary. So aside from these three traits in MEP, some of you may be saying that, hey, there's still fireworks and maybe the ELV as well. So for those that has used before our Cubicost TME software, it is capable in taking off for fireworks and ELV, which is known as extra low voltage. However, TMEC is a brand new software, which is also the successor of TME. So for fire and ELV, it is currently under development. So in order to enhance the taking off experience better, so it's still currently development. But fortunately, these two modules will be planned to release by end of this year. So do stay tuned for that, as we may conduct another webinar event or live meeting to further discuss on these two modules. Okay? All right, so for the past 15 minutes, maybe I've been talking about how good 5D BIM is or how good TMEC is. So some of you may be questioning, hey, Hongwei, you only been talking about the benefits. We want to see the actual application. So in this part, allow me to just translate what I said earlier into actual usage by showing you some scenarios and how TMEC could help in each of these scenarios. All right. So in the first scenario will be quantity taking off for numerated quantities. So numerated quantities is commonly calculated across all trades, whether it be electrical, ACMV, or plumbing. So if you were to use the manual method, there will be risk in miscount quantities, especially dealing with big scale project, which also means more time will be consumed to complete the taking off, right? Aside from that, we also need to consider the additional resources spent on printing as well. So to really illustrate these challenges, this is an example of an electrical drawing, okay? So in this drawing, there are a few items that needs to be calculated in numbers. We have the lighting features, fan points, socket outlets, switches, which is all calculated in numbers. Same goes to our ACMV as well. We have our thermostat, our dampers, air grills, diffuser, and etc. as well. What about our plumbing and sanitary? Same thing as well. There are a lot of things that need to be calculated in numbers. We have our water closet, sinks, showers, and valves. So let us take a look at how TMEC is able to help or improve the quantity taking off process in these situations. Well, in TMEC, we have this device identification function to help us identify legends in the layout drawing. For example, I'm identifying these lighting features. And just a few clicks, the software will be able to identify the total numbers, which come up to 267 numbers. What about ACMV? Same thing as well. In this case, I'll just identify the A wheels as an example. So, and again, we just need to use the device function over here, identify the A wheels in the drawing. And once we click Find All, the software will identify all of the A wheels and comes up to a total number of 212 numbers. And finally, what about plumbing and drawings? So in plumbing and sanitary, we're just going to use this sitting toilet or water closet, for example. So similarly, using the same function as well, we just need to identify the water closet and click on Find All. And just like that, all of the identify water closet will be totaled up to 9, and the quantities will also be calculated as well. So with these functions in TMEC, it is able to speed up the taking off process when dealing with numeric quantities, and this is specifically better when you are dealing with big scale project, right? So in our second scenario, let us take a look at some of the challenges faced while doing quantities taking off for the electrical works. So in some cases, I believe most of us may face this situation before, where we receive multiple drawings that is split from a big drawing. So we have a big drawing, maybe a few acre, and because of the reading drawing process, we need to be easier. So they will tend to split it into few different sections. So when we receive in hard copy, it will be harder to compile it all together because everything is split so big, right? And aside from that, the cross-floor cabling works is commonly calculated as well when there are multiple floors involved. So these vertical lengths may be difficult to calculate at time, and they are usually very time-consuming. And not only that, we have a lot of wires or cables in the drawing. We may have a hard time checking and tracing each of these softwares, each of these wires, so sorry. So overall, the taking off process can be very tedious and time-consuming. So I'm just going to stop for a while and just read the questions a bit. The questions I will later on answer during the Q&A session. Would that be all right? So if you have any questions, maybe you can leave it in the chat box, and I'll get back to you and try to answer you during the Q&A session. Would that be all right with you guys? If it's okay, maybe just say, all right. Okay, so I'll just continue first. So in this situation, how would our TMEC help or enhance the taking off process for our electrical works? So in TMEC, we have drawing management functions to help us adjust our drawings before doing quantity taking off. So here we have some tools to help us remove any unneeded lines in the drawing. And with the help of a moving tool, we can actually merge two parts of a drawing together by moving the second part and just connecting the corresponding axis, which is axis H. And there you go, the whole drawing will be formed into one big picture. So aside from that, we also have the show or hide layer function to help with simple wiring or cable estimation. So you can see this drawing, there's too much information. So we can actually just show the wiring only and hide the remaining things that are not necessary. So with that, we can just clearly look at the wires, and by using the single line function, we can quickly calculate the wires quantities. And just like that, so the entities has been created. And if you go to quantity and just view the total quantities for this wiring, just give the software a little bit second, and you can see at the bottom here, the total wire quantities will be calculated over here. And finally, let us take a look at how cross-floor cabling work is done in TMEC. So first, let us construct a cable trunk that rises from the first floor to the second floor. And then connect it to a distribution box from there, just like that. And if you were to view it in 3D, we can see the cable trunk is connecting the distribution box across the first and second floor. And after that, we can just proceed to insert the cables or wires inside the trunking by using the cable tray wiring function. Just a few clicks onto the trunking, and you can see that the wires and the cables are already laid accordingly. Just like that. So once again, the whole taking off process is extremely fast and efficient. Okay? So in the third scenario, we'll look at the challenges faced when it comes to the quantity taking off for ACMV. All right. So in ACMV, oftentimes we may find it hard to calculate the duct fittings. All right. Reason being, maybe there are too much duct fittings and may be very hard to identify in the drawings. Also, it may be very time consuming to calculate ducting work if there are too many sizes. And also, we may need to consider the installation areas as well, if there are any installation used. So in these three cases, how does TMEC help in this kind of situation? So in TMEC, we have a duct system identifier function, which helps us to identify ducting lengths. All we need to do is just pick on the two parent duct lines and the label. I'll just do it again, just like that. And after confirming its attribute, the duct line will be drawn. It will be identified. And for the air duct fittings, by using the air duct fittings identifications, just one click and you can see all of the fittings will be generated. And let us take a look at 3D. And let's assume that these two vertical air ducts over here, that there's installation area that we need to calculate. So what we need to do is just modify the attribute over here and just input in the ducting installation. And we can quickly view these installation quantities by using the quantity tool. So right now the quantities has been calculated. And if we were to view in quantity on this vertical air ducts, and if you were to pay attention over here, you can see that the installation area of these two air ducts are calculated over here already. Just like that. So up till now, you can really tell that the whole process of taking off will be much faster if you were to do it as compared to do it manually, right? So moving to the fourth scenario, okay? So we're just gonna move into plumbing and sanitary. So once again, I want to do a quick check. Up to now, is everything all right for you guys? Is everyone feeling that is too fast or maybe too slow? Okay, I can see a green light from Osawa saying doing very well. Okay, what about others? Others, are you okay? Perfect speed. Okay, thank you, Lasida. So far, great. Thank you, Anit. Well, thank you, Wissam. All good. Thank you, Ashad. Perfect. All right. Okay, I'll just move to the fourth scenario right now, okay? Where we're going to talk about the plumbing and sanitary, all right? So in the fourth scenario, there are some challenges we face while doing the plumbing and sanitary taking off as well. So there are also cross-floor piping can be tedious or difficult at times, especially if there are many risers used. So this is also similar to other trades if cross-floor works are required. Not only that, pipe elevation may change frequently in a building as well. So this happens because of the different equipment height. The pipe elevation will need to be adjusted to fit the respective equipment height. So in this kind of situation, how can TMEC actually help? So in this example, I will draw some pipes connecting to different sanitary equipment. So here we'll be connecting to a wash basin and a shower head. I'm just going to connect a few more to the water closet as well. And if you were to view it in 3D, just like that, we can notice that there are a vertical pipe connecting to these equipment. So all these pipe actually connect to the sanitary equipment using their corresponding height. For example, for the water closet, it will be 0.38 meter. For the wash basin, it will be 0.8 meters. As for the shower head, it will be 2 meters. And this applies to all other equipment as well. We can actually adjust their elevation height in their corresponding attribute. And when we are drawing the pipe, the software will automatically connect the vertical pipe to the equipment, and the height will be adjusted accordingly based on the attribute that we insert. So we will only need to adjust the height once, and whenever we draw the pipe connecting to these equipments, the vertical pipe will be automatically generated. So we don't need to worry about that. So now we have cleared most of the scenarios that is related to our taking off process, which is our ACMV, our electrical works, and our plumbing and sanitary. So in this part or in this scenario, we're just gonna talk more about the drawing demarcation or the classification of quantities according to different region. So sometimes we might need to demarcate drawings into different regions and separate out the quantities accordingly. Maybe it's instructed by your client or your boss. So take, for example, in this layout drawing, we might need to split it into construction zones, maybe progress claim, construction stage, or even typical rooms. So if we were to done this manually, we might need to extract the quantities manually. This can be quite error prone, since we need to trace back how it is calculated in the first place. And if we cannot trace back, then we will need to recalculate the quantities, which can be extremely time consuming. I believe maybe some of you have experienced this before, to actually calculate everything again just to split into different zones. If you're using manual takeoff, it will be extremely hard. So in this kind of scenario, how would TMEC help? So in TMEC, we have a defined region function where we can set up few different regions in a drawing area. So in this case, we shall create two different zones, namely zone 1 and zone 2. Over here, we can also change the color of the zone for better representation as well. And after we have set up the zones, we can also adjust the boundaries using the green box over here, depending on how big or how small you want it to be, or depending on the demarcation area. And after that, we just proceed to generate our quantities. And if you were to view the quantities over here, you can see that the quantities have been separated into different regions that we have just set up earlier, which is zone 1 and zone 2. Not only that, if you were to double click on these quantities, it will bring us to the drawing area where the quantity is located at. So we can check back where the models are drawn and whether it is drawn correctly or not. Just like that. So I can see that some of you may actually asking on the drawing file. So I believe Frank has also answered that. So the file types that the software support, you can actually import CAD file, which is DWG, vector PDF file, or even scan PDF drawings as shown here in this slide. So in this last scenario, maybe more often I would say, we might receive scanned drawing files, especially during the early stages such as tendering drawing. So in this case, how do we deal with the quantity taking off while using this scanned drawings? Is it possible to actually do it in the software? So to give you an example, I have a scanned PDF drawing over here. So let's say I just want to calculate our numeric quantities. We're just going to take this socket, for example, this VFCU. So in TMEC, there's a scan device function, which is specifically designed for scan drawing files. We just need to identify the legend first, just like that. After we identify the legend, we can actually edit the legend using the eraser tool over here by removing any unwanted lines, as you can see. So after that, once we have removed that, we can proceed to identify the text. In this case, it will be VFCU. And after you have picked both, you can click on Find All. So now the software will actually identify all of the legends in the drawing that meet the same condition as we have set. So this will definitely take some time, but not very long, as the scan, because it's scan drawing files. So the software will need some time to actually scan through the whole drawing to identify these legends. But after the software has identified it, these tables will be generated out. So the software is actually very smart when it comes to scan PDF drawing files, as it will categorize into percentage of the similarity. We can see that 60 to 70%, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, and up to 90 to 100%. So not only that, we can also check through each of this and decide to select or not to select it as part of our quantities, just like that. Also, we can also do the batch selection. We can also batch select it, whether we want to select or unselect it. And if you click on these identify legends, it will actually bring us into the drawings for us to see it better. So if everything checks out, and we click identify, the quantities will be identified and it's total 31, and it will be highlighted in yellow, just like that. So that kind of sums up the potential and function that the TMEC can provide to your day-to-day operation or even to your quantity taking off process. So that concludes some of the values provided in certain scenarios. I would say maybe scenarios that are much common. So in this part, I would just kind of show you some of the project models that's been completed by our existing clients, our past clients, on each of these traits and how it looks like when it's done in TMEC. Because as I mentioned before, it's a 5D BIM software, so it is capable in generating the models as well. So this is just to illustrate to you how does it look like on each services. So this is an example of ACMV after it is completed, whereas this was plumbing and sanitary. So this is probably, if I remember correctly, this is a client from Singapore on the probably a few floors project, different story project for the ACMV part. And this is more ACMV example. He also has some completed lighting models done in electrical works as well. So this is just to kind of show you how it looks like when you complete the modeling in TMEC. As compared to building works, where you can see the entire model, including the doors, the walls, the windows, MEP may be less aesthetic, you know, since these are the only things that we'll be able to see in the model. So as compared to a building, maybe you'll not be able to, in a way, it's not as beautiful as a building if it's a view in 3D, but still, you know, TMEC is able to generate 3D model, which is a lot more better, and it helps in terms of the visualization process. This is a lot more better as compared to your 2D based software or even your traditional method taking off. So with that, I conclude the part on the TMEC. And I really hope that everyone here has gained some insights about our MEP taking off software, which is TMEC, and what the software has to offer to your day-to-day operation. So maybe you can think back to the previous scenarios that I've shown you earlier and just think back, how can it actually help to your projects in terms of the quantity takeoff process. Maybe it can be faster, it can be more accurate, it can be, you can get more projects so that the work efficiency has increased. So allow me now for this part, the software as a service, I will just pass it to Frank, where he will talk more about software as a service, as well as the promotional side of Cubicost. So I can see there are some questions from Taiwo as well.
Thanks, Gongwei.
Yes.
Yeah, I tested my audio system. Am I clear?
Yes, extremely clear. You are very clear, Frank. So welcome back, Frank. You know, earlier he was not able to do opening remarks, but we are happy to, you know, get him back over here. So Frank, maybe you can just do the software as a service part.
Okay, thank you. I'm really glad to see a lot of our old friends is here with some people. And welcome. Hongwei, could you allow me to share my screen?
Oh, sure. Sorry about that. Okay.
Okay. First of all, thanks Gongwei for your presentation. And we know that SaaS is a popular conception today, especially for the software industry. So in my mind, the SaaS, the software as a service, is not only the software license and also the delivery mode in which maybe the software is licensed based on subscription basis. It should be also reshapes our relationship between the software providers and our users. So this is very important. So in my mind, is choosing the right and suitable 5D BIM solution for your team is really your responsibility. And once you choose Cubicost, maybe as the default 5D BIM software for your team, then it will be our responsibility to make sure your team can master software, can really enjoy the benefits of the 5D BIM. So first of all, let's check some comments from our current users of TMEC. Then after that, we will introduce a little bit about some of our service. Then after that, there will be the QA session. So during the QA session, really welcome all your questions.
At Gloden, we drive the digital transformation of the construction.
Hello?
Frank, the video seems to be paused.
Yeah, I also find that.
Industry with BIM
Okay, all good.
Takeoff management solutions. Across 80 global offices, empowering more than 310,000 global clients with all their BIM construction needs. Our team around the world are empowered with local insights and aim to seamlessly connect our clients' data through our integrated platform, the Cubicost TMEC. Cubicost TMEC solutions has been adopted by many leading MEP industry leaders. They choose us because they trust us to drive their digital transformation. Cubicost TMEC solutions aim to improve project accuracy, project quality, and overall productivity. Let's hear what our industry friends would like to share with us.
TMEC solution we started using October 2022, and we find that it's much more easy to use. Okay, for traditional method, because we need to print out drawing, also paper costly, first thing, and also time taking up. And also, the main factor is, I think, is the skill. Sometimes we may not get the exact skill, so that we are using factors, so the accuracy is not there. And also, time consuming a lot. Okay, for this TMEC solution, first thing, we don't have to print out drawings. We can straight away insert the drawing and we can start to do our work. And this TMEC, there is a lot of new features that we can use, such like, or ACMB tab. They have additional like air grill, damper, panel box and silencers, and the pipe accessories. I find that this one will save out a lot of our time and more efficient. There's one function is insert drawings, because that will help us, like we want to have a lot of drawings, like maybe part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, then we can insert drawing all in one window environment. Okay, I want to add one more feature is the define region. I find it is very useful to us. That time we did have a discussion with the R&D team, and they have listened to us for this function, and finally they have put into this new TMEC solution. This one will help us a lot when we need to size, like doing design and build, which is we don't have any ACMB layout design. We have to base on the room. We need to size up the area, and then we get the capacity so that we can have our aircon design work out. So this is very useful. TMEC help us to improve in PQ taking, more productivity, and more efficient and more accurate.
Okay. In fact, just like our survey we have done during the registration of this event, more than 10% of the registrations already adopted Cubicost and our users. In fact, this is a quite good change in my mind, from traditional way to the BIM way. This is a trend that we cannot stop. But as the user, we should always remind ourselves, the software is just a tool that can support our daily jobs, our daily works. So we are the main players. And the practice can make the skills. So for the practice and for learning the software, we provide a lot of access to our service. One about the first one is e-learning. So when you open Cubicost software, you can find this e-learning portal. And during the e-learning, you can find the latest training courses, the update functions, the videos. So you can check the videos and learn by yourself. Always update knowledge and skills. The second one is about the e-community. So if you have any technical issues during the usage of software, you can drop the questions here. If maybe sometimes it's not easy to if you cannot find our service staff, you can do this way. Also can get quickly reply of your questions. Maybe you can find similar answers. And another important platform is our online training platform. So normally for the learning of software, we divide it into 3 parts. The first part is self-learning period, maybe for 1 week, and to be familiar with software basic operations. And after that, it is our one-to-one training program. Then after that, it is some guidance for the project. So for the online self-learning platform, you not only can have access to our training courses, but also we can support you with your capability certification. And after that, we also have the training program. Of course, during the pandemic, a lot of markets, we only can provide the online training. But we also have the branches team and also local partners. We have our local reselling and service partners in more than 20 countries. So you can find our local service team around you easily. Here are some workshops and training programs for your information. So just in summary, so we provide a lot of online learning platform, and also our global team, and together with our local partners, we can ensure our service to your team. Besides that, Gloden, we also provide some free tools for our users for quality service. We know we are dealing a lot of drawings, we are dealing a lot of work orders. So these 3 free tools will be provided. The first one is RVT viewer, so we can view the Revit modeling. The second one is most different, to compare the difference 2D or 2 drawings before the change and after the change. The third is the PDF converter. Maybe you will see, okay, I can find a lot of PDF converter in the market, also free. But this one is a little different because we know that we receive a lot of tender documents. And in the tender documents, there is some scanned Excel. So we can convert the scanned Excel into the Excel format exactly. So that is not easy to find this kind of solution in the market. Because today this webinar mainly for TMEC, for the MEP 5D quality takeoff. So we also have a special promotion for our audience today. That means 20% discount for the 3-year subscription plan. And for our team, if we can buy 3 licenses, then get 1 license free. So this promotion also based on a 3-year subscription plan, because we want to have a long-term relationship with our users, not just a rush decision, a short period, because we are so confident with our software and service. And the promotion deadline is 31 July, end of this month. And also welcome to register our next webinar. So our next webinar is how Golden Cubicost can simplify your progress claim submission, mainly focus on the construction stage. And the main software we introduce will be Cubicost TSC and Cubicost TBQC, and also the collaboration between these two softwares. So the webinar date will be 20th July. Hongwei, could you share this registration link?
Yes, I'll definitely share the link to all of you participants. No worries. Maybe you can look at the chat box later. All right.
Yeah. And welcome to get in touch with us, because we have a lot of branches, and not only branches, we also have local corners. So you can drop us email for the product demo meeting to your team for the trial license. Now we come to the last session.